Summer is here, and the heroes of Class 1A and Class 1B are in for the toughest training camp of their lives. A group of seasoned pros pushes everyone's quirks to new heights as the students face one overwhelming challenge after another. Tracing the elements in this secret location becomes the least of their worries when routine training turns into a critical struggle for survival. Relatively true, if you ask me, though some could also consider this the peak of My Hero Academia in a lot of ways. Hey guys, what's up? Lucky Cheese 7 is back again with another My Hero Academia podcast. Holy shit, what is this? First the Cultural Festival podcast, now this? Of course, because Season 3, if I remember correctly, the dub ends today? Or if not today, it ended last week, so I figured, hey, since it's relatively finished now, both subbed and dubbed, perfect time to talk about it. Perfect time to talk about what's considered to be the craziest season so far for My Hero Academia. And of course, just like last time, you all know the drill. Can't really do this by myself, which, yeah, technically I could, but what fun would that be? What fun would it be with just having me here by myself, all alone, just talking about my thoughts on the season when I could just bring a group of friends. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I've got with me my special friend / special guest with me today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Greetings, everyone. It's me again, Sparda3g, coming for another podcast, which seems like a norm right now, but that's a good thing because we haven't done a podcast quite some time after a long break or a lot of things that's happening with our personal life. And we came back for Attack on Titan Season 2, which is last year, but hey, better late than never. And then we came back for one arc of My Hero Academia. And now we're back with Season 3 of My Hero Academia anime. So it's good to be here to discuss once again with Lucky Cheese 7. And there is another guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am BlueStarSaber, once again joining Lucky Chi and Sparda3g, also known as For Life, for another My Hero Academia podcast, which will be the second in a row, and I assume we have at least 2 more upcoming.
Give or take.
But first, we're here to discuss Season 3, possibly the best season of My Hero Academia. We will find out in this discussion.
We will definitely find out, and let's not forget one thing. If you guys are new to the podcasts, especially for the anime side of things, sections are usually broken down pretty simple. We talk about best episode, best arc, if it's adapting. If it comes to manga and it's adapting more than one particular arc, we're going to talk about the best arc. Not worst episode, but more so just the least favorite episode, least favorite arc, and of course, just predictions on what's going to be happening with the future of the anime. Before I forget, favorite opening. So that's going to basically be the rundown, and that's for any anime podcast that we ever do. That's been happening with Attack on Titan Season 2 and My Hero Academia Season 2 also. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into that with best episode of the anime. And for me, I'll usually I save my thoughts for the end, but I'll go ahead and give my thoughts out first. I was really struggling with this one for a while because it was either not the last episode, but I think the episode where it was between Deku versus Bakugo and All Might versus All for One, and I really had to think about it for a while. And then I gave it time to just sink in and just think about both the fights, and then thinking about it long and hard. My favorite episode, and what I consider the best episode of Season 3, is the All for One versus All Might fight, because not only did it have so much intensity, but this was something that's been building up practically since the beginning of the series. That's one thing. Number 2, you can consider this as the end of an era. This is the fight that's ultimately gonna turn the tide for My Hero Academia in a lot of ways, and it shapes a lot of different ways for the characters and whatnot, and sets them apart as to what to do next. So when you look at that aspect, that's one thing. And also, we got to consider the thing that All Might, it's like, yeah, he didn't necessarily die. Let's be specific here. All Might didn't die. However, the image of the symbol of peace is dead. That's what died. Not the character per se, but just the symbol of peace himself. Like, that era is gone. And when you really think about it, like, that's the one that, like, really hit me. Like, yeah, change is coming now. Like, it's the villains are gonna start crawling back up into the surface again. And Dagu has to learn to become that new symbol. However long it takes, so that's what's going to happen. And that's ultimately my reason as to why that particular... I know the fight's technically a couple episodes, but specifically the last one is my personal favorite. But what about you guys? What's your favorite episode from the season?
It's funny that you brought up those two specifically, because it's like, if you were to have the choreograph from the Bakugo versus Deku, and then you have the storytelling of One for All versus All for One, you know, or Might in this case, the same thing. But point is, if you have like those type of two worlds, you would actually have an easy answer on which is the best episode, or even like the best action of the series. It's funny how you had to see it that way. It's like, you like the choreograph that was presented in Deku versus Bakugo, or you like the storytelling behind the action, behind the moment between All for One and One for All. For this case, you know, I would pick the One for All episode, because it is a moment that where pretty much the series goes to a huge reset in a sense, mainly because All Might is All Might final battle. This is final days of being the symbol of peace, being a hero for everybody, and everybody already knows that how he looks like when he's in a normal state, or a weak state in this case, but they all still respect him. And that's the story behind it. It's like, they always going to respect the guy, even if he looks scrawny, weak, weird, bony, anything like that. They all respect him because he's a symbol of peace. He is the hero that everybody always look up to ever since his dawn of era. So that kind of storytelling, you know, it works itself out, and it's really nice. It's a nice story for many reasons, especially where you get the backstory, and it actually it actually planted the seed with the whole Shigaraki being the grandson or son. Is it grandson or the son? Either one. The point is his grandson. Point is a relative that makes it difficult for him in the future. So it's a combination of a lot of many things, for many tidbits of many of new developments on the horizon. But in the terms of the fighting each other, you know, it's all about like how All Might is going to send off with taking down All for One, and he managed to do that. But of course, he has to take himself out because he was beyond his limit. He doesn't die, but the idea is that his heroism is over. So it's pretty much saying someone else has to take the mantle, and that person is Deku. He will have to now get ready for that, and the time comes, or you know, much sooner than expected. So now, you know, you got a somewhat a reset button that everything has to start from the beginning, from scratch, even though they still follow up with the idea of like, you got to get a license, got to get your hero license, stuff like that. There's a lot of other couple of follow-ups. But when I said a huge reset, well, I guess we'll explain that maybe later in the depending on the discussion we're going to have in this podcast. I guess I'll explain further why this feels like a reset button. But bottom line is, that episode is the best one, and it's the one that a lot of people talked about, and because again, they introduced that whole storytelling, even though the choreograph is lackluster or anything, which it was, to be honest, but it's the storytelling that helps. It reminds me, like, I know a lot of people don't watch wrestling, but in wrestling, you get like a technicality. Excuse me. You get the whole technical wrestling, mat wrestling, like say like Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. Like, oh, these guys knows how to do flips, suicide dive. It's amazing. They do a lot of things. And then you get like a match with Triple H versus The Undertaker at this year. Or the most notable one would be the Hell in a Cell, where they don't really do a lot of crazy techniques, but it's the storytelling that helps. Like, oh, his best friend is the referee, and his best friend reminded himself the day when he lost to The Undertaker and how he lost his career from him. It's like a lot of storytelling there. So with the All Might case, it's the whole storytelling of him going against All For One with a lot of with the backstories and the whole dawn of his era, and then the passing that torch to the new person, to the new generation. So it's that story that helps out the most to make the fight memorable for a lot of fans. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. You're up.
For me, it's just hands down episode. Let's see, the 11th episode of the season. Let's see, One for All. For My Hero Academia, the final part of like the All Might versus All For One battle, mainly because it's like a hero's last stand kind of thing. In many ways, it's like if comic books in the US ever end, it feels like this would be something similar to it. Let's see, a good example would probably be the Ultimate Universe's version of Spider-Man storyline, The Death of Spider-Man, where the hero's identity is exposed. He's fighting, his last fight, taking down his greatest foe, enjoying everything it takes to beat him and stuff. What I really love about this fight is the animation. I think this is when it was My Hero Academia's best. I'm not sure I fully agree with For Life on his choreographed stuff, because I thought there was some quite good stuff within it. But then again, that might have just been the previous episode before it, when Baka goes flying into the air. I mean, that was beautiful animation, but hey. It pretty much, as we all know, as I'm pretty sure it's been stated before, the episode starts with like a mini flashback of the All Might when he's like a teenager, just talking to his teacher, which helps build up to more and more when you get to see more about the teacher as All Might and All For One are duking it out. One side gaining the advantage of the other depending on what the actions they do or say, particularly when All For One ends up mocking All Might's teacher, which makes him lose his advantage, which allows him to take the opportunity to take a cheap shot at All Might, which he got suppressed by Gran Torino. We also end up during this bit, we also see the news media showing the fight to the masses. So all the students and teachers from the UA seeing this. We get glimpses of some of them seeing it, but they're all shocked at the devastation. And the public being like, what's going on? Let's see. And you kind of see like how the public is kind of losing faith in heroes, because like even All Might is struggling against this villain. And this is where All For One decides to take the final blow, partly because even though of all of Shigaraki's work, as he exploits one of All Might's weaknesses as a hero, the saving the lives of citizens, as he must give up dodging his next attack in order to protect damsel in distress, if you will, results in him being exposed as this scrawny little guy, and they're all like, they just couldn't believe it. But All Might, true to his character, says even exposed, he still remains the symbol of peace. And then, and probably what comes as the I am your father twist for My Hero Academia is revealed that, of course, as For Life stated, Shigaraki is pretty much, Shimura, is it? All Might's mentor's grandson, which, of course, shocked All Might to the core, because it's like, he never considered this. It could be kind of similar to how, in the sequel trilogy, you have the dark side entity Snoke using like Luke's own blood in like Ben Solo to destroy the Jedi legacy, I guess. But I feel like My Hero Academia is doing it a bit better, but let's not get into that. Debate about Star Wars, but yeah, even though I'm pretty sure My Hero Academia takes quite a lot from Star Wars in its references and moves and all that kind of stuff, and some of its characters. Heck, you could say All Might's kind of like an Obi-Wan, but hey. But yeah, this shocks All Might to the core, where for once he's not smiling, as he's thinking back to like his mentor, and we reveal that the reason he always smiles is because Shimura taught him that you must always smile. But given what he's done to his own master's blood, he feels such great guilt. And it only snaps out of it once the damsel in distress telling him to not give up and keep fighting, which also snaps out the entire crowd, the entire world's reaction to All Might's weak form, encouraging and cheering him, showing that despite what he looks like, he is still the number one hero in their eyes. This was All Might is now more determined than ever to defeat All for One, as like they try and duke it out a bit more. The fight becomes a bit more OP, but at the similar time a bit strategic in the way they're doing it, I guess. Other heroes arrive, removing all like the collateral damage, I suppose, bystanders, wounded heroes, any remaining citizens. We also get this brief moment with where, Endeavor shows up and he's kind of mad about what All Might actually looks like because of how much he strived to be better than All Might, and that he's kind of like, he just cannot, part of him just cannot seem to believe that All Might's true form is this skinny little skeleton-like appearance thing. Gran Torino's thinking back to what, Shimura, told him about All Might and trusting him to teach All Might once she's gone. All for One having enough of like this, I believe what you could call petty hero display, goes full on in, gathers like a massive giant fist, which I love how the anime adds scenes of like the audience being so shocked and terrified of this new display of power. It's like, oh my god, it's like as it kind of brings back the fear and tension of the fight, like, oh my god, this could actually kill All Might. I know some people have like criticized like the decision of like All for One going with the giant fist thing. But I think, given the fact that I think he's trying to, the reason why he's doing it is in context. All Might being the symbol piece is like strong, he can blow away anything. So I think he wants to destroy that by doing it in the way that All Might usually fights, with like his fists and stuff. So he's trying to, be the man with the bigger punch. So, and just as he's striking All Might, he reveals to him that he knows that Midoriya, that not only has All Might passed on his quirk, but he knows who has it, Midoriya Izuku, and he tries to mock All Might as he's withholding the fist kind of thing. This seems to be like a big mistake, as All Might kind of like he uses this as motivation to win the fight, because as like Midoriya's teacher, he needs to be there to scold him, and he kind of mimics like Midoriya's fighting style of All for One at this point, where he transfers one part of his quirk to like from one arm to the other, managing to eventually doing the final, the final move, which also added with this beautiful, like, as you guys remember the episode with Midoriya versus Muscular, right? Where just as Midoriya is doing the final move, it's showing like All for One's light thing passing down from generation for generation. It's doing that with like All for One, but at the end of it has Shimura grabbing the light together with All Might as he prepares his ultimate attack, United States of Smash, creating the most powerful blow we have seen in the entire series. The audience is like wondering who has won, building up tension like, did he actually do it? Oh yeah, I forgot to also mention that there's also a monologue where All Might says, farewell, one All for One and one for all, both saying goodbye to the villain and his quirk. But then as All Might emerges from the dervis, he temporarily goes back to his ultimate form, showing him in the victor. The whole crowd is cheering with relief that All Might did it. He's won. The bad guy is stopped. And then we get a very touching moment at the end as the news is reporting it. All Might points to the camera and says, "You're next," while the entire audience cheers on, thinking that means like, even though he's been battered, bruised, and exposed, he's still ready to take on the world. But Midoriya, being his successor, knows what he's actually meaning, saying, my time has come, now it is your turn. And he's kind of sad that it's now ending and it will have to be his turn soon, which also he gets noticed by Bakugo, which later foreshadows into the episode that Lucky Chi and For Life have also said is quite the best, which, to be fair, it's a pretty good fight. Let's see. I personally prefer the All Might versus All for One fight, but I do suppose that as in terms of a rivalry battle between Midoriya and Bakugo building up to this point, it's a pretty good fight with like Bakugo expressing his frustrations. Midoriya trying to surpass Bakugo and stuff about all that's happened, and the result of Bakugo ends up winning. This emotional conversation with All Might, learning the secret behind everything, finally getting the entire piece, and Bakugo and Midoriya finally settling their rivalry. But for me, I choose, the episode 11, One for All, as the best episode of the season, partly because it's a hero's final stand. In a similar manner, I guess, to kind of like how in Naruto, the third Hokage, it was kind of like the Orochimaru versus third Hokage for Naruto, but of course the third Hokage died, and this left, with him gone, they had to find a successor. It led to like the events of the rivalry thing with Naruto and Sasuke. Of course, My Hero Academia went in an entirely different direction, but yeah, not to mention an added plot twist of like, in this manner of Vader, I am your father scene. Spoilers for Star Wars, by the way. Within the terms of Shigaraki, which is a new twist in a way, as you're using like one of the good guys' previous mentors' own blood to destroy the legacy that she and All Might have built up over the years. That's my thoughts.
Pretty unanimous in terms of our thoughts on the best episode. And least favorite episode here. This would be way too obvious. So I'm gonna lay out some ground rules for the least favorite episode. Episode 1 does not count. Episode 2 does not count, and episode 18 is off the board. So
wait, time out. Episode 2 is not included either. Wasn't that hater?
No. Oh,
he's referring to the first episode where it was mostly.
I know the first episode, but the second episode? The second episode is canon. So you say people don't
no. I messed up there. So yeah, the first episode and 18. Those are the two. I was like, wait a minute.
Are you referring to the two fillers of this season, Retsu Lucky Chi?
Well,
the first one's a recap, the second one is a sellout. But yeah, those two.
Yeah, the second one's technically a prologue to the movie. So there's that. So
you're so down.
So yeah, go ahead. And
so I can't do episode 20 or episode 1 as the weakest episode. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're saying. You can't choose those two because that's too easy. Way too easy.
Those are way too easy. I know it's like, oh yeah, obviously the recap episode. Nope, recap episode's off. And so was the movie prologue episode. So yeah, it makes it a little bit more challenging. And
sure.
Sparta. You're on the spot.
So, curiosity, the episode where you have 1A, which focuses on Momo versing those filler students, can you use that one, or does that one not count?
You can use that one. Well, can you use that one? Isn't it that might be cheating too?
That might it's a bit cheating. Just so yeah, no. Thank you for bringing that up.
Actually, let's do this right now.
Oh no.
How about exclude every single last half of the season? And first episode. Then
so the last half too. I like that idea better.
Because I was about to say moving into the dorms was my least favorite. I
thought about that. I'm like, wait a minute, that's too easy also. So within the hideout arc and specifically, let me know, did the training arc count or not? Because I feel like the training arc's a little bit easy too.
So how about, let's see. So what I can understand, Game Start, episode 1.
That doesn't count.
Let's see, that's the one episode we can't do. Let's see, I'm just trying to look.
The license exam, none of that counts.
Let's see.
Wait. That's so harsh in so many ways.
It is.
The license exam? Wait, how can we do the license exam?
I know there's few good ones, but man, honestly, we should. I'll save it when we talk about the overall. Save it.
Yeah,
I was referring to. Wait, is the license exam arc not that good in your eyes? Or
that's not that good.
Let's go one by
one.
I feel like
it's easy to pick on. That's it.
Okay.
They're too easy. Should we really ban? Should we really ban them?
I don't know.
Because honestly, if you don't ban them, I would just say that episode I just mentioned. That'd be my least favorite. It was literally the entire episode of what the title suggested. And I know it happened in manga. I know. But you would never think it's not filler. Yeah, you would think it was filler. That's the funny and sad thing at the same time. You were like,
well,
I guess it's like Black Clover. It's like, no, that was in the manga.
You know what? I think that one. I think that one's fair. So we can.
As far as I can tell, episode 1, episode 17, and episode 20, right?
Yes.
No, we said the entire thing.
The entire thing.
The entire last half. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Fine.
We're
I'll be
kidding,
merciful.
Okay, so wait, so we can't put any of the license exam one. Okay.
We were
No.
joking.
You're joking.
Sorry.
No, it
Sorry.
does say a lot when we actually almost in an agreement. Anyway, so yeah, I'll pick that episode. You, Blue Star, go.
What
No.
episode did you pick? I'm sorry. Sorry.
I think 13, if I count it right. 13.
You mean, let's see, the dorm ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Into the dorm.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, like it's comical. Actually, I should explain quickly. I mean, it's comical because, like, you know, you get to see like how every room is, and sometimes, and most of the time they match their personality. That's fine and all. I guess it's just the way how it's like the fact is the only focus, and it's like it kind of wears out in terms of comedy routine. So it's like I think the only part I laugh at is like how Deku was like, haha, you're such a fanboy, something like that. You know, this is like the few things, but everything else is like it kind of wears out because it was a full length episode. If it was a half of the episode of that part, I think the joke would have carried on really well, and it's just been funny and comical to see. But then it just kind of died out halfway there. And yeah, I guess the last part is not so bad. But again, it does ring filler, even if it's not, because I know it's not. I know it's in the manga. I read it myself. I know it's there. It does feel very fillery because you literally get nothing out of it. I mean, if you laugh throughout the episode, then it's a win situation. If you don't, then this is a really boring episode in all. So yeah, that's my explanation. You're next.
Okay, I guess for me, I suppose it could be episode 13 as well, because it's perhaps the most fillerish of like the manga content with the contest rooms. I suppose it's a sort of character quirk building a sense where let's say you see the rooms reflect the characters' personalities, I guess, in a sense, or even surprising aspects of the characters' personalities you did not realize and stuff. Such as like Toriyame's room is dark, the Invisible Girl's room is very girly, which probably connects with a bit to her personality. Midoriya's All Might fanboy, of course. Uraraka's kind of plain, I guess. Either well organized with like a million glasses. Ayamoya's sparkly, and there's even a joke about Minetta's too probably R-rated for even the audience to go seeing, which implies that it must be very perverted, but because the girls immediately go away before they even attempt to look at it. Yeah, let's see all that stuff. Let's see. I mean, there is some interesting things at the beginning where you have like Arizawa like saying if it wasn't for the fact All Might got expelled and the fact that Midoriya, Momo, Ida, Shoto, and Kirishima, it's Kirishima, right, all went to go rescue Bakugo, he would have expelled nearly everyone except Bakugo.
It's Krishma, but okay.
Krishma, sorry. And two more, and let's see, the Invisible Girl, and was it Jiro, I guess? Who was the other one knocked out during the previous arc? Let's see, if it wasn't for the fact and the two were knocked out from the previous arc, he would have expelled all 17.
Momo? Wasn't Momo knocked out?
I don't know.
I believe so.
Yeah, but I know that were at least two, that were knocked out, but let's see. But because, All Might was Aizawa was going to expel 17, but due to All Might gone, he decided not to, or something like that. Let's see, and then you get this touching moment between like Suyu from with the five who went away because she kind of got a bit upset because they ignored her advice and stuff, and she was, I don't know, it was kind of an emotional moment, I guess. The only other thing I can think of is
I'm sorry. That seems too much of a spoiler the way I just said it.
What did you say?
No. Carry on.
And the only other episode I can think of that could be the weakest might be the one that has Twice upon it, because I suppose it's a bit random, I guess. Getting this, League of Villains member, I guess, being the focus all of a sudden, but it's more of build up between the next arc, where introducing the new villain for next season, and also building up Twice, who's going to have a major role in the next arc, and it's kind of does show his backstory and why he's in part of the League of the Villains. As I think Twice has the reputation in My Hero Academia of being that series version of Deadpool. That's the only other one. I'm not sure if that's also the same one where All Might and All for One have that conversation in the prison, but I guess that could be the other episode. Now I'm done.
Wow, that's actually kind of funny because my least favorite episode is actually the same one you guys are referring to. So I feel like I don't have much to say on that because you guys did a pretty good job of describing it. But
Maybe we should have done top 5.
But no, let me see this. Was the episode fun? Yeah, it was a fun episode. But did it add anything like substantial to the overall story? No, not really.
Well,
But
I think the most I'm sorry.
No, go on.
I think the most criminal thing about it is just there's no real follow up. I mean, I know I'm jumping ahead, literally ahead, but it's like there won't be any follow up that will make it like, okay, I remember that room, so it should be fun to see that room. It's like it felt like we're dealing with a slice of life. Like we're expecting maybe 4 chapters later, we're gonna see that person again in their room. He probably like, oh, it's too dark in here, something comical, something funny. But it's just like a one-time thing. So you kind of ask yourself, what was the point of seeing all those?
The only room we've really focused on is Midoriya's. But that's because he's the main character.
But
yeah,
right. And the only noteworthy is him being a fanboy. But that's about it.
Yeah. The only way I can think of how you could possibly make one of the other rooms more irrelevant is if perhaps you have Shoto focusing on the stuff that's been building up for future arcs for him, and him contemplating that, or maybe having a moment with Midoriya and Okachaku in her room, perhaps, maybe, but that's just the best I can think of at the moment. Contemplating some of the stuff that's been going on with his family, and possibly future plot twists in the future. And the only other time I can think of how we could also focus on another room is maybe if you have a scene with Midoriya and Okachaku, perhaps maybe being in like her room, doing like maybe the romantic subplot between those two, but that's about it. But yeah.
So honestly, like I don't have much to add onto the least favorite episode other than that. Like fun, yeah, but nothing substantial to the overall season in and of itself. That's honestly just my take on that episode. It's like, oh yeah, look at this. We have Deku's room, we have Tokoyami's room, we got Mineta. Yeah, we got him too. Bakugo. Well, no, did we see Bakugo's room or no?
No, we haven't seen Bakugo's room. Maybe that'll be built up for a future.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Yeah, like that's supposed to be the huge plot relevant. I know it. You're Dobby.
It'll actually be kind of funny if he has like a dartboard of Midoriya's face on it.
I'm gonna make it the best arc in the series.
I know. I'm just making it
like a certain other thing where we're not gonna get to that.
Come on. I said it could potentially be. And you guys overreacted.
We will get to that when we get to that, Blue Star. That is for the manga stuff. Remember. So, yes. To say the very least, fun episode, nothing substantial. So now, we cut to arcs. Best arc in the season, which to me I think is pretty obvious. The Hideout Raid arc. Of course, this is pinnacle. I will go ahead and say this, even for the manga. This is the pinnacle right now for the My Hero Academia series. The next arc that we're getting that a lot of people like to also say is the pinnacle. The next arc is not
season 4?
Huh?
Are you talking about season 4?
Yeah. I'm like,
it's funny because I actually saw the news report about it, and then a lot of people are really mixed still. I'm like, yeah, well, it's ought to be very interesting how the anime fans is gonna deal with this one.
Oh, I know, right?
It's gonna be very interesting. Part of me feels like maybe nothing wrong will go on because Darling got a free pass somehow, some freaking way.
I know. For all we know, I mean, sometimes anime does do smitty story arcs or scenes better than the manga. I mean,
yeah, but it's not about making it better. The storytelling is the problem. But let's not jump ahead. Let's just
let's not jump ahead to that yet, because that's for the very, very end of the podcast. As of right now, a lot of people are, have basically come out and said that this is the pinnacle of My Hero Academia, which I will say this. It is. And I remember because the anime just started right around the time when this arc was still going on. I remember this. It's like, the anime got announced. It started. And I think the All For One versus All Might fight was just happening. And I was like, oh, the timing is just perfect right now. So 2016 anime starts. 2016, the craziest thing that happens in My Hero Academia. Perfect year. needless to say, of course, well, the arc itself, here's why I consider it the best. Is it like a Sasuke retrieval arc in a sense? Sure, you could say that because they're trying to get Bakugo back. How they go about it, though, is different because it's not Bakugo turning over to the dark side. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to join Shigaragi's cause in order for power. It's not like that. Not like that at all. Instead, it's a rescue op, but it's more than just Deku. It's more than Ida. It's more than Kirishima, and it's more than Momo. It is the heroes, and in more cases than one, the students are hiding. Like, they are trying to be like, all right, let's try to help out on our own without getting spotted. And that's the overall theme, because it's like, yeah, it's a follow-up from Camp Arc, but you get that. And then shit starts going down the second All for One comes in. When he comes in, the chills. Oh, man. The chills come in. I thought I was getting the chills in the manga. And just feel All for One's presence. You're just like, dude, what the fuck is going on? And of course, we talked about the fight, but it was an end of an era. Could you say this could be compared to the part 1 of Naruto? I don't know.
There are many similarities with, like, it's a kind of mix of, like, multiple arcs in Naruto. It's kind of like a Sasuke retrieval arc with, like, the invasion of Kohona, the second part of the tuning exams, with, like, mixed with, like, the Orochimaru versus Third Hokage.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you call Konoha balls just now?
No, I said boss battle. Boss
That's what I was about.
No, you said you said cojonas. Cojonas. I'm like, wait, Kohona? Kohona?
Kohona's boss battle of the Third Hokage versus Orochimaru.
Yeah, you never mind. It's pretty much it glossed over you, so I'm just gonna let it go. Go on.
But
let's see. Kohona's the boss, mate.
Just go on.
Now I'm just trying to trigger you.
It's not triggering. It's just I'm laughing right now, but I'm trying not to say anymore. Just go on.
And if you go by the My Hero Academia wiki, the story now, because it was divided by arcs, but now it's like divided by sagas. You got the heroes beginning saga. Now you have I should say it now, the Rise of the Villain saga. So you could technically say it is the end of part 1. Technically speaking, it's like, yeah, there's no time skip, but it is like, because that is the end of a saga. So yeah, so
that explains the quality.
Which yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, Sparta. But I think the best example of this would be. Now, I know for Bleach it's debatable because some people say Soul Society or Aranker Saga. At the moment, I would say Soul Society, because while I do love the Aranker Saga, the last half was it was kind of padded out because editorials. Let's be fair. So that's that. Honestly, like, just because of that, just because of, like, some of the themes that Koei portrayed, how the anime was able to get those scenes and how it got you pumped, invested, and really made you feel at the very end, because you're just like, damn, that shit just went down. What are they going to do next? And that's specifically the reason why I'm giving that arc, for me, the best arc out of the season. And just like what Sparta and BlueStar said earlier, when All Might pointed out to the screen, obviously it's like, yeah, everyone thinks, like, oh yeah, he's pointing out to the other villains, but it's more so towards Deku. Getting that acknowledgement, like, your time is now. My age is over. You have to step up now, and that was just great. So that's just my thoughts on why I think the Hideout Raid arc is the best arc in the series. But what about you guys?
Is Full Life going next, or should I go next?
Mine's is pretty fast. It's like everything what Lucky Cheese just said. Like, it is definitely the Hideout Raid arc for me too, because you gotta think about how last season ended. It ended pretty much a huge hint of what's to come. And yeah, the season 3 does that, but unfortunately, as a manga reader, I know what's ahead, and all I can say is frown face. But going back to a second season. Going back to the second season. So like it still felt more appealing, compelling because you've been dealing with the League of Villains for a while now. You've been dealing with everything that like everything that's associated with them, including All for One. And you heard a story like how All Might got that scar and how he's losing power slowly and surely. But just seeing him is like, oh man, who's this guy? This guy who has no face, I think. I don't even know how you could tell, but weird, creepy, kind of scared of him. And then you got the whole Shigaraki threatening Deku, basically before the training camp one. So it's like everything is a culminated for this next two arcs. And the whole training camp is a transitional, but it was a good one. But then it's just a hideout radar. They made that moment special because it's everything that has built on, especially how like this is like All Might one hurrah. This is All Might pretty much, I wouldn't say redemption, but this is his way to make up for the action that he couldn't finish before, which is taking out All for One. And he does that, but he does it at a price. But again, even it's funny because when you think about it, the arc doesn't have Deku in the battle or anything that Deku does or the protagonist working on it. It's more of All Might, which is a different character altogether. Yeah, it is associated with the main character, sure. But again, usually it would be like the protagonist that leave a strong remark or a strong moment that everybody will always remember. But it's All Might that does it. So it's like, in a sense, he's kind of like he kind of holds the arc. He kind of holds the season together, if anything. But yeah, even so, Deku did have that one fight with Muscular, so it's all good. Bottom line is the hideout radar has been built up since for like a little tidbits for the entire thing, and then it goes to this moment of him going against All for One. And after that's settled, the reason why I say it's a reset is because what is there more to talk about, or what is there more to be aware of? And the only thing aware of is pretty much Shigaraki and Deku. That's really it. But everything else that seems like it was have a lot of plot. It's kind of like Naruto. Like you kind of have a lot of going on with the whole Orochimaru sounds village and everything like that. And then there's Akatsuki, but Akatsuki was a slow burn. So you kind of have a lot to worry about for the next part, which is part two. You got the whole Akatsuki, you got the situation with Sasuke, and Orochimaru is trying to get that immortality, whatever. There's like a lot of things going on still. So you're ready for what's to come. And then like after Pain arc, you kind of ask yourself, well, you only got Sasuke, but that's it, right? And well, that's a different story altogether. Bottom line is the hideout radar was like the last mark before everything hits a reset. And the only thing to wonder is how far will Deku and Shigaraki will develop from there. And that's it. So yeah, hideout radar is for me.
you also have scenes with Midoriya and the rest of class and what actions they should take. Some of them want to go and rescue Bakugo themselves, while others are like saying, no, this will be breaking the law. We should not act like the villains, which is mainly pointed out by Ida, Tsuyu, and even Ochaku, who kind of like, doesn't really go on the law side, but says on a personal level, it's like Bakugo probably wouldn't like us going to his rescue, which Midoriya realizes from by flashing back to what Bakugo said just before he was saying, Deku, don't come near me, kind of thing. And on the other side, you kind of have like wanting to save him because of how close they were and all that stuff. And Midoriya, because it's a bit personal for him, because he wants to be the best hero, but he failed to save one person when he was right in his sight, kind of thing. It's missing from the fact that All Might saying the only time he doesn't save people is when he's not there. And Midoriya's right there. But see, granted, Shoto and Kirishima just decide to go anyway, and they manage to convince Bakugo to go, and they also convince Momo to tag along with them. Ida stops them before they can go off, but decides that he can't stop them, so he'll go with them, but to make sure Midoriya doesn't break any rules, anything like that. Let's see, they head off. There's a funny scene of them changing into new get-ups kind of thing. And then we cut to like the village. Let's see, we also cut to like the heroes planning the whole raid thing and stuff. And also a scene where the media is like criticizing like the teachers at UA, with like Arizara trying his best to really not get egged on by the journalists and stuff, and pointing out that despite what the villains seem to be thinking of what Bakugo is, that's not who Bakugo is. He's striving the most to become the number one hero. It kind of cuts to like then the League of Villains, they're all trying to persuade him, mainly Shigaraki. But see, the lizard dude who follows like Stain's ideology and stuff. They release Bakugo, and then he immediately blasts him, saying, nah, I'm convinced by All Might. Let's see. They try to subdue him thing, and Shigaraki ends up, requesting for the first time teacher to use his strength, which he gets a compliment from his teacher. But just then, the heroes storm in, doing perhaps the best covert operation you could probably see, securing all the villains, both in the League of Villains, like Attack Force, and with Nomu. Everything's going so well. In many ways, if it wasn't for All For One, everything would have just turned out fine. But he appeared, warping the bad guys and Bakugo away, and wiping out the heroes from, took out the Nomu, sending the Nomu to take it out for All Might and, the other heroes there to take on and stuff. Then leading, of course, to the big battle finale thing, which is like the hero's final stand thing, which I talked about previously. But in many ways, it's kind of like, and I kind of mentioned this briefly, it's kind of like the Orochimaru versus Furikage battle of My Hero Academia, where from this point in the story, as we all know, the Furikage was the most powerful character in the series at this time, while Orochimaru was the most powerful villain at this time. And in the end, it has a similar outcome where, the big bad is kind of like defeated or rendered powerless. In Orochimaru's case, he loses his arms to perform jutsu, while the third Hokage dies. Well, for All Might, he loses his powers and stuff. And then you're dealing with the follow-up. This is probably why I like this arc. I mean, you have tension among the the students of what's the right course of action between breaking the law or not. More insight into the villains, particularly Shigaraki and All For One's relationship, and not to mention the Vader twist thing. Because it kind of makes sense looking at, because when it was revealed that Shigaraki is Shimura's grandson, it now makes sense why All For One has put so much emphasis in trying to teach him, because he's building up a villain that was born from who's blood related to his greatest enemy's teacher thing, and it's in a way he's symbolically using someone's blood to destroy the legacy that they and their student has built on and all that stuff. It ends in sort of a bittersweet note with the heroes. Well, the heroes beat the big bad, the League of Villains still out there, and now they've lost the number one hero. Yeah, it's sort of like, it's a very good arc. It's like the perfect end to end the first saga of My Hero Academia, and probably going to be the first half of year one. I don't know. It really depends on how My Hero Academia paces out its remaining sagas and arcs and years.
So that's unanimously our thoughts on the Hideout Raid arc being the best arc, not only for the season, but I would even argue the best arc in
the series.
Yeah, the series is for even for the manga. Sorry, manga fans, internship arc is. We'll talk about that. we will.
Or you can watch our second My Hero Academia podcast, and you can learn.
There's that.
We can, yeah. Well, you'll know why when season 4 comes, but we're saving that for the very, very end. That being said, least favorite arcs. I think it's a no-brainer. That the least favorite arc. Not that it's bad. I'm not gonna say the arc is bad, because I do enjoy the arc for what it is. But if we're comparing it to the Hideout arc, it is unfortunately the weakest one. That is the provisional license exam arc. Now, on the surface, in terms of concepts, I think it's okay. The concept of the license exam, especially after the Hideout arc, it does make sense. I will say that. But I think the problem is it's literally after the Hideout arc. After when it really changed the scope of what My Hero Academia could do. And coming off from that, now you have this arc, which it's not the sports festival. Make no mistake about that. It's not that at all. It's like, okay, yeah, they're getting their licenses, which you would assume, yeah, okay, it's the arc they need to attain one of the first steps they need to becoming a professional hero. So I get that aspect. I think the issue with the arc was not really the story per se, but I guess in terms of events and how it played out. That's just honestly the best way I can kind of describe it, is that you had some interesting things, but I think the other thing I can say is that there weren't really stakes involved. Well, yeah, it's an exam. There really shouldn't be any stakes whatsoever.
But there are a few.
And then there's some people that are like, look at the tuning exams. There were stakes there. I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah, but that was also because the concept, because you could actually die in these exams, in some of them at least.
Yeah, that's the exception, though. It's just that. And then also the Hunter exams, too. Another thing. So there wasn't anything big in particular. And I think had the arc come before, say, if it was the arc in between the training at the end of season 2, but before the summer camp arc, I think it would have been all right. But I think it's just coming up from the heels of the Hideout arc is kind of what hinders it. That's just me, though. And also the fact that there was, really no major stakes involved. But that's just my thoughts. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's pretty much easy to say. It's this Hideout radar. But yeah, actually, let me start with that one. Again, you come back with that arc where it's where it feels monumental, where it feels like the change of everything, the beginning of a new era, I mean, it's in all rights, it is, but it's kind of in a sense, it reminds me, what if, this is that one arc in Gintama where a lot of people start talking about it in their video, whether it's from For Never World, Chibi Reviews, those guys, they started talking about it because of that one arc got animated, which is the Shogun assassination arc. Now, what if the follow-up is just more comedy, 4-4 breaking walls, whatever? What if it's like that, right? If it's like that, it kind of misses the flow. But instead, it does follow up with an arc that really benefited from that previous arc because it was so monumental. It was a game changer. It was the point of no return. So with My Hero Academia, to go to the arc that's more of a school stuff, even if it does make sense, it's rather killing the whole flow arc because it just ruins the flow. It ruins the momentum that it once had. And it's not like how season 2, you got sports festival. Everything was all fun and games, and it's really fun. It was really cool to see a lot of different cast of characters showing their stuff, showing how they are, who they are, what they represent, all that fun things. And then you got little small hints that's going on in the background with the whole stain. So when it follows up, it makes more sense and the flow doesn't die because you come back with the fun, but you are aware there's dangers outside and that something's going to happen to one of your friends, one of the characters that you like or dislike, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, these characters that you just seen them, that you just witnessed them doing their cool moments, they're going to have a major problem in the follow-up. And that happens to Eden or Tenya, whatever you want to call them. So when that happens, you see Deku going in because he has to improve himself as well as prove himself as the next one for all user, the next symbol of peace. And then you got Shoto, who had a dilemma with the whole family thing, and that's his redemption to make it up for that. And he learned differently. He learned a lot from before going against Stain with the other two. So it's like the flow kept on going. Even after Stain was done, the flow didn't really die with the whole hero versus pro heroes, the rookies versus the pro heroes, whatever the arc is called. Even if that's the follow up, it doesn't really kill the flow because not only it was short, but it gets to the point right away. Now with the provisional exam arc, it was a good time to introduce or reintroduce, I should say, Class 1A and their more in-depth characteristic, but instead you decide to introduce way more character than it needed to have. And that's one of the flaws, of the series not the series, but that was soon to be in my opinion, but I'm not going to go there. But for the arc itself, you introduce so many different characters, which is hilarious because Oda himself, the One Piece creator, we all know, or people who read One Piece knows that series has way too many characters. However, the way how he utilized them is pretty good. And it's the fact that he does it so well that it doesn't really bother you if we see this character coming back. And if anything, it actually amazes you. It's like, wait a minute, I know that character. I cannot believe he's back. So with 1A, with the situation with that, we don't really know that much of them. And the way how it plays off is trying to seem like it's trying to be a continuation from the festival or even the training camp. But it has this weird time limit, a hidden time limit of when can you handle of no characteristic or no development from these characters. It's kind of like how people see it with Attack on Titan. Because when the series began, there was no real characters or even story, but your adrenaline rush because you're in the survival of horror. You're fighting against Titan. You're fighting something that is unbelievable that you might as well just give up and just go with it, just get killed. But that's the idea, the atmosphere introduction. You're in the adrenaline rush of fear. You're in the adrenaline rush of terror. You're in there. You are surviving. You are just witnessing chaos. So when it finally slows down, that's when it gets to introduce the characters slowly but surely, but it pays off in the end. Now with My Hero Academia, I guess you could say it did a lot of things early with the sports festival, which is similar to Tuning Exam. With a Tuning Exam, they introduced a lot of characters, but they're all likable. And they were like something that you want to see more of them. And you get to see more of them. Some very few, but a good enough amount in Rescue Sasuke arc. But when part 2 started, you don't see them anymore. And then your patience wear thin. Where are these characters? And if they show up right now, acting like they have so many developments, I wouldn't care because you don't know who they are. You no longer see them as interesting. You only see them as characters that just kills your time. So with Provisional Exam, you're introducing more characters that surely will not be relevant in the long run, which as a manga reader seems that's the case. So why should you be introducing so many things? Why you have to introduce so many different characters? Why not just stick with the Class 1A? Now, Bones did try to insert a new a filler episode or episode mixed with filler and the original content. Excuse me, the original content that came from the source, the manga. They try to do that, but it's like more of like just to show off of ability, which the series is already doing that. But what we asking for is these characters, who they are. Like a lot of people seems to be mistaken with character design and character. Their character design is good. They're definitely one of the pleasing thing about the series. However, the character themselves is where it's wearing thin. And that's something that needs to be addressed at this point right now, because we're already this far ahead. And it doesn't help with Ochaku, who I believe that had a really good reputation for that episode against Bakugo. Because I think a lot of people did highlight that. I highlighted that because I liked that episode. I really enjoyed that fight. because how this underdog story was told. It was really good. She was disadvantaged, but it was really told well on how she's trying to make it the best she can, even if she was limited to her stamina. And you got this arc. It doesn't really push her further. It only talks about the love thing, which is concerning for many and concerning for me because you're taking a dimension away from her. And you're no longer talking about the underdog of wanting to be a hero for money, even though out of context that sounds terrible. But when you learn her reasons and her underdog spirit inside of her, you wanted to root for her. You wanted to back up for her. You wanted to see her accomplish. Now it's all about the Deku thing. And yes, she did somewhat solve the problem within the, I forgot which episode. I think it was probably 17, 18. I don't remember. It's the one she told herself she got to focus on the hero thing. Let the romance be on the back burner for now. But after that, without going far ahead, you're not going to see much of her. And that's disappointing. It's been over 166 chapters. I think
you're spoiling for life. I think you're spoiling anime view.
Okay, I'm sorry. But I'm sorry. That's the thing. I know I do apologize for spoiling in a sense, but that's the thing. I care about that character, and I'm seeing disappointment. That's my problem. You're taking a dimension away. You're taking something that could have been a potential good. It reminded me of Sakura. She had potential. They showed us.
I was about to bring that up. Do you feel like it's similar to what Sakura had after that one moment in exams?
Minus the whole questionable Sasuke thing, it is similar to Sakura because you see some potential. Yeah, it's going to be a rough around the edges because you're seeing somebody who's just really weak, but you're seeing the slow burn, the slow buildup of her finally getting to realize she should improve herself and she should be serious about being a ninja, Konochi. And she does that, but the rest is history. So with Ochaku, you kind of saw that, but now everything is all about the love thing. Even against Toga, it's like I'm fine with that part, but it's like, how many times you're gonna talk about that now? It's like, where's the underdog story? Where is that story that you told us back at the festival? I want more of that because that is more relatable. Even if I'm not a girl, it's relatable because I want to see her prevail, but it's not telling that anymore. And then you don't really see the other characters. The only one that really gets something out of it was Shoto in a sense because of the whole Inasa dilemma. For a moment, Ayama, just for a moment, and Deko's just doing his Deko usual thing. So that's really about it. And the task that the arc has is rather dull. Like the whole, I guess they take advantage for little seed planted, especially for one, even though that's not really the character. I'm talking about the Cammy one because that's not really her. But you got the task of the whole got to save the old people. Well, not old people, but citizens. It's a dull task that I don't think it should have happened right after the Hideout Raid arc. And it doesn't help when the characters are not as built or developed as much as we thought beforehand. Because the festival, it was still early stage, so we all still cool about that. Now we're in the further ahead. We want more out of it, and you're telling us the only thing they do is they do things. They do things, but they don't develop things, and that's troubling, in my opinion. So that's where I start to see the series needs hope on that. So the only question is, does season 4 does that? Well, I guess you got to see it for yourself when the time comes. So I'm done with this one.
Let's see, it's my turn. Well, I guess the worst arc for me has to be the training course arc. Joking.
Oh my goodness.
No, it will have to be the hero license arc. Let's see. I suppose as a follow-up, for what just happened in the Hideout Raid, it's understandable that it might be disappointing, but I suppose it's kind of a slow down arc, kind of similar to how, and it kind of slows down a bit with the exams the students are having against the teachers.
But that doesn't disrupt the pacing, though. That's the difference.
It doesn't.
I feel like it's kind of similar into that matter with let's see.
Similar, but double. The way I see it, it's similar, but it's double the doses because you got to remember it was almost the entire second half.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know. I mean, it's kind of the reverse. You had the two small arcs at the beginning and then the big, huge one at the end, which probably may have not been the best way to do it now. But anyway, but it seems like that's kind of the structure the mangaka was going for. You could argue yes or no, whether or not it was a good thing. Now, on one hand, I suppose there is some criticism that this is the arc that begins to, put too many characters in. On one hand, I guess the mangaka is trying to do some world building, because you have these new courses, you also, because you get to see some of the different, schools at this arc, end up learning of, the one was as that Miss Joke, UA as like the best school with like the one with the uniform, which introduces like a sort of rival for Shoto in that Wind guy who has a past of hating Endeavor and Shoto himself that will lead to like some tensions. On one hand, you kind of I don't necessarily have problem with like introducing new schools, but out of the two schools that introduced, the only one that seemed to make much of a impact on the story, at least, was the one with the Wind Dude's school, mainly just because of rivalry he had with Shoto, and Bakugo ended up fighting one of them to try and pass. And you also had Toga disguising as one of their students, kind of thing. While the other one that was part of Miss Joke's school, they didn't really matter. In fact, you could possibly just remove them from the school in general thing. I mean, it probably would have been just better if they were just like opponents, like round one opponents for Midoriya and that lot, and then you don't see them afterwards. I mean, that would have been fine, but no, they make it to the second round. So they're going to, so that implies you're going to see more of them. But they don't really do much, in the thing. One thing I do like of what they've built up with this school is that in the previous arc, we were introduced to the number 10 hero, Araka. What's the dolphin called again? The killer whale hero called again?
Orca.
They bring Orca back from like the previous arc as like the sort of in-course villain thing, where he serves as a pretty good sort of boss battle in terms of at least that arc of like having with him going up against Shoto and the Wind Dude, and them going head to head with their like clashing egos and stuff, and their like history, as you having Shoto go against his dealing with like his past with his father, and with this one dude who was burned by it, who was kind of like treated badly by his father, who does not match with his ideal hero, and him trying to make friends with Shoto, only to act unintentionally like his father, so he didn't end up joining UA, causing tension between the two, and only then snapping out of it with like Midoriya. And by the time they snap out of it, it's already too late, because by the end of it, they're the only two fail the exam. They both fail and stuff. And I suppose another thing to like about this arc is you do get a few character moments. I mean, you also have some returning characters from previous arcs, such as like, what's the mechanical girl's name again? You know, the one that calls all her gadgets babies?
Hatsume,
yeah. You have her returning, building some gadgets like Midoriya, introducing a new fighting style for Midoriya, and some of the other heroes. You do get a few character moments. I suppose with Okachaku, you do have, I suppose it's disappointing you have the romance, just the romance aspect. But then again, I suppose it has been building up for like some of the previous arcs. So it does need to be addressed. And it's like, okay, she's going to put it aside for now and try and focus on the hero career. Granted, I do kind of wish that My Hero Academia would just get the romance done with, just have her and Midoriya as a couple, and then you can try and develop her with other stuff, at least. I don't know. But yeah. And I do like the bit with Aoyama, because for the most part, he's just been a joke character who goes on about himself during his sparkle abilities, and usually gets embarrassing defeats, but he kind of has a serious moment where he reveals that he feels a bit inferior, and he does a sort of try to do a self-sacrifice thing, but still manages to pass the thing. And you also kind of like have Ida being like a team leader. I suppose one thing of this arc that was also kind of fun is like you kind of have like Class 1A acting like a team in what could be, in a sense, a mini war zone thing, which I'm not sure if this is how, let's see, if My Hero Academia will go through like the war zone thing fully with like a hero versus villains war. I hope they don't do a civil war for heroes, because that messes up Marvel Comics quite a bit, I would just say, but let's see. But we're not talking about Marvel, but yeah. I suppose... Let's see, yeah, possibly that, let's see. Hopefully they do that. But let's see, the one thing, let's see, and I know that there's not really much tension in this arc, at least in terms of, is this person going to live or die kind of thing. But I suppose they do try to build a bit of tension with, like, let's see, if, like, previous years, it was, like, let's see, half the students would pass the exam thing, half would fail. But this year, they've decided to do only 100 can pass the first round kind of thing. So this makes it a bit more desperate for, like, many of those students, because from what I can tell, there's 1,500 and only 100 of them can pass. And this also brings a bit more tension to the UA students because, let's see, there's 20 of them. So that means they need to pass only one, let's see, that means there's only 1/5 of the spots for like all of them because like
I think that's kind of ruined with the idea that everybody except for 2 pass.
Yeah,
kind of destroyed the whole
I was about to
purpose.
bring that up too.
I was like, well, yeah, and it didn't help with Class B got the same thing. I'm like, really? All right.
Let's see, but yeah, okay, we could argue whether or not that, let's see, it was better for like them all to pass or some of them to pass and some to fail thing, but at the end they managed to pass.
And I guess you could, yeah, and I guess you could call that a cop out by addressing, well, you know, you messed up, but there's a makeup coming very, very soon. So
I suppose.
Fuck up,
I
boys.
guess it's kind of, and again, the knowledge how tuning exams is, they happen twice a year, so you have like a second chance of becoming a tuning in the same year. But then again, you never really did.
But like we gotta wait for a while, and it does have a relevancy to make Shikamaru understand the leadership, the hardship of the leadership.
Yeah,
so
I
that
know.
is relevant.
Yeah, but let's see, but anyway, but we never got a second tuning exam, but yeah, it does lead to some interesting character moments with like Shoto, who probably contemplates that perhaps he's a bit more like his dad than he realizes, and he needs to strive to do better. And it also builds a new sort of relationship between him and this Wind guy. I'm not sure how much of a role he's going to play in future storylines. I suppose
no, I don't know.
might have at least maybe one major arc or something. I don't know. I guess it really depends on how the mangaka does the world building in the future and stuff. And let's see, the main focus, of course, the other one that fails is Bakugo, which in a sense helps build up for what's been going on ever since the beginning of the series with his rivalry with Midoriya, how he's somehow, despite being better all his life, Midoriya's quickly catching up. He's getting left behind in some ways, and not to mention him feeling kind of guilty with like being responsible for All Might's retirement and stuff, losing his powers and stuff. Not to mention him finally picking up what Midoriya meant about his quirk belonging to someone else. It all comes to play in the fight after the exam, with an emotional moment between him, Midoriya, and eventually All Might, with him learning the secret and him being the only other person to do with it. Granted, I do feel that maybe at some point the other students will find out, possibly mainly Shoto, Ida, and Ochitaku mainly, but it could be all of them, I'm not sure. It really depends on how...
I don't know why, but it made it seem like we're treating this like QB, but go on. Like we should be fear of him.
We should.
Granted, I don't think they're going to be scared of him. I think they're going to be a bit more protective of him.
Why would they be scared? Why would they be scared? They would be like, huh, that's cool. Why would they be scared? I'll be scared if somebody has a demon. Yeah, I'll be like, huh.
No, I mean, I think, well, let's see, in Naruto's case, people would genuinely be scared of the demon fox, but let's see, in Midoriya's case, I think
because it has a history.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm very aware of that. Not granted, except for those closest to him who've got time to know Naruto, but let's see. But with like Midoriya's lot, they'll probably be more concerned because he's got like, he'll have all these big bads coming after him kind of thing. But yeah.
Well, if it's spread worldwide, sure. But you know, we haven't. I don't know. But this arc doesn't do that yet.
No, I'm saying that's for future references. That's good. What could potentially happen in the future. But anyway,
I guess so.
Back to like the present arc. At the end of it, you have Midoriya and Bakugo starting to act more like proper rivals. It's the reverse of Naruto and Sasuke, which probably for the better of the series, it's probably better that it be this way. We haven't really gotten like a rival. What's it? I won't spoil, but yeah. Let's see. But let's see. The developments between Midoriya and Bakugo in the future will be interesting once the mangaka does decide to do what he wants. Or let's see. But anyway, I'm done. Otherwise, I think you guys just complain more about my thoughts.
2,000 years later.
2,000 years.
But still quicker than the Hunter x Hunter getting its ending.
Here's what I think. Hunter x Hunter will end before One Piece. I'll make that declaration. Not a bet, just a declaration.
Oh, that's an interesting declaration. That's a very interesting declaration right there, buddy.
So what would you do if you're wrong?
Then I'm wrong. I'll admit.
Fine, but anyway, but yeah.
Anyway, Hunter x Hunter and One Piece is a whole another debate to talk about for another podcast. So that helps us transition over into not exactly our thoughts on what we could expect for season 4, but the opening. And mine's obvious. It's out of future.
Oh, wait, we're not talking about the overall.
Oh, actually, that's going to be after
okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
For me, it has to be Out of Future. Because I remember when that song came out and I was watching the first episode, I was like, this is catchy. Like, to me, I like to compare the opening to Sasageo? That makes sense? Like, it just had that catchy tune that Sasageo had.
Are you referring to the first half's opening or the second half's?
First half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I remember, like, just listening to it. Like, I heard it once, and I was like, this is kind of cool. And then as I kept listening to it more and more, I'm like, da-na-na-na-na-na. I'm like, wow. That's... like, it's good. Like, I would argue that it's better than the first half of season 2's opening. That's just me, though. But, yeah.
That one?
Yes, that one.
Oh, interesting.
But that's just me, though. What about you guys? What was your favorite opening out of the two for season 3?
Go ahead.
Opening. Yeah, sure. Favorite opening. I'm not really sure. I mean, like, I like them. They just never hit me as like, I'm gonna make a music video like everybody in the world. I mean, a lot of people tried. A lot of people tried because it's popular, which I understand, but it was more fitting with the you say run one. Because that one is the more popular choice to do a remix to many things. I know they're trying to make it out because, you know, Attack on Titan did it first. Well, not first, but they did it, popularize it with that first opening. You see every single YouTube video that has to do it.
I know. They did do that.
It was everywhere. So I thought many people try to do that for My Hero, and none of them really rings to me. They're a good song, but they never really hit that feel like, yeah, I'm mad hype. Oh, look at me. I look at the goosebumps. Ooh, I never got that feeling. But they are a good opening, regardless. What is my favorite? Gee, I don't know. Wow. I forgot how the second opening for season 2 started.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. I was just like, I don't remember that one off the top of my head.
Do you want me to play it just so you guys remember it?
No, it's all right. I don't know. I guess I'll just pick Off Future just because it covered the best arc of the series. It's kind of cheating.
That's actually true.
I'm gonna go with.
Now that I think about it.
Oh,
so yeah, I'll pick that one.
Let's see. Okay. Oh, for me, it's a bit weird because I guess I was kind of off-put by both openings originally. I guess because I don't know, I feel like Our Future's opening. The ending of it kind of felt out of place because
Dun, 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 dun,
Because the ending, it was like, because it felt like that was like a weird way to end it. Because I feel like, well, it's just
Yeah, I have to agree on that too.
The full version's pretty good.
I,
I've heard the full.
I'll be honest. At my first impression, I was disappointed because it was like, oh, Overworld. That means Bleach opening 2. Oh,
I know. I was thinking about that. I
It
was like,
never got to that point though. So
it didn't.
yeah, and it didn't, and I was disappointed. I mean, I like the song still. I like the visual. I think the visual is more impressive than the song itself. Honestly,
yeah, song.
Yeah, but man, it could have been another Bleach opening 2 because Bleach
It
opening
really
2 was
could've.
still awesome.
Oh, yeah. In many ways, I think Bleach opening 2 could be argued as the best opening for the series, but let's see,
Right.
it depends who you ask.
I mean, some people like to argue opening 7, but
But
Opening
that's
7.
mainly because it was done by Foo Fighters, was it?
No, the Overworld.
Opening 7. I'm talking about.
Oh,
You know,
oh,
You know, the ones that did like.
So.
after, it was. I forget how it goes, but the song was After Dark, from what I remember.
I don't know.
I was gonna say, wake up this morning. I somewhat really enjoyed the third opening. I don't know. I like the whole show the character, and then he's like, yeah, that's Ichigo. Wait a minute, what was that? What the hell was that? Wait, don't show me the Bleach title card. What the hell was that? That didn't look like Ichigo. You know, because remember, Hollow Ichigo didn't happen yet. That
Yeah,
was the
no.
shocker of the series. Like, what the, you know,
Yeah.
that tease. I miss opening when they do that. But anyway, go on.
Let's see. I guess. Let's see. I don't know. I suppose opening. Let's see. Because opening 4. Because the 2 openings are kind of different from the established openings. From what they kind of did as like what they kind of started. Because the openings, like the previous season's openings, let's see, had like Midoriya kind of looking on at All Might, while at the end he's with like the group, with like everyone in the group of the class. While this opening kind of starts off, both openings kind of start off a bit differently. It doesn't really do that. Mainly kind of, let's see, because the first opening kind of has All Might and Midoriya fighting side by side, which doesn't really happen in like the anime. That's the movie, but hey.
Spoilers, Blue Star. Spoilers. People haven't even seen the movie yet.
Okay, apologies. Spoiler
Wait,
warning.
which movie is spoiler?
Two
What movie is
zeros.
this?
The My Hero Academia.
Oh, I was trying to find a Bleach opening 7. I found it. I like that opening too.
Yeah, I think it's done by the same guys who did opening 2 for Naruto, isn't it?
No, Agent Kung Fu Generation for Naruto. Haruka Kanata. Yeah, I know. I remember that by heart.
I remember that too.
Oh yeah, opening 4.
That opening was awesome too.
That was.
I think that's arguably the best opening for Naruto. And then for Shippuden, you got like 2 Hancho, which is opening 6 and opening 16. I want to say.
I think it was 16.
Isn't opening 7 quite popular as well? But that's it. Anyway.
Yeah, that one is good too. That one's really good.
All
That dream matches that never happened. But yeah.
We'll talk about Naruto after wrapped up this podcast, but let's see.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
You're right.
Anyway, but yeah, it's kind of hard to say because I mean, let's see. On one hand, I suppose opening 4, the first opening, is kind of like similar to like the previous ones. While I suppose the second opening is more of a change of pace. It's a bit more lighthearted, I guess, because it's like, let's see, a bit more of a fun aspect to it. Like, let's see, I mean, I do like, let's see, in the second opening, that Okachaku smile. I know, it's just adorable, but let's see. And I do like the lines, base my story. Let's see, Kakuno. So I can't sing Japanese. But yeah, I mean,
that's cool, because I don't even know that was the lyrics.
I know, I didn't either.
I think that was like one of the English lyrics for this. Let's see, because openings sometimes have at least 1 or 2 bits of dialogue of English. Well, except for the Gintama.
Like closer for Naruto Shippuden. The guy could actually speak English perfectly.
But yeah. Or I realized her screaming pain. Well, the only opening ending I've heard in full-on English would be Gintama ending 2 with Elizabeth. I'm sure you know the one. Mr. Raindrop, fallen away from me now. Anyway, let's see.
Anyway, you have to decide which one's your favorite opening.
Oh, it's been a while since I've listened to both. I mean, I suppose it would be, what's the opening? The second opening is a fun opening. It's like a mix of like slice of, I suppose it would be kind of like a slice of, it's trying to be like a slice of life mixed with a little action. But I guess I will go with the fourth one mainly because there's some bits I like in it. It was like Glass flying into the air, Midoriya charging into like muscular, and then there's this one scene with like Shigaraki where he's just like walking like a badass kind of thing, or like walking like a big man with all these Nomu crawling behind. And then let's see All Might, and then the All Might and All for One scenes are just flashing lights and all that stuff was also awesome. Granted, I do think that the final endings of a bit kind of like kill the momentum a bit. The na 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 bit, but let's see. But I suppose it's still like one of those pumping up hype openings. Granted, I think I still like opening 1 and opening 3 better of My Hero Academia, but yeah, I suppose this is the first opening for season 3.
So that brings us over to overall thoughts on the season. I'll say this, starting off with me again. As far as the first half of season 3 goes, again, that part started when the My Hero Academia anime started. So 2 fucking years of waiting for all of that in anime form, and it delivered. I was like, that was great. It was perfect. It was, like I've been saying in this podcast, the pinnacle of the anime. And then we have the license exam, which is fun. It's not bad. It's just fun. Is it the weakest of the season? Yeah, but it does kind of.
You say yes?
No, like is it the weakest of the season? Yeah, the provisional exam is the weakest of the season. Yes, but
that's what you meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go on.
It does. The ending of the season does kind of give you a hint that there's going to be more. Obviously, there's going to be more, and I'm like, of course, I'm going to look forward to it. Being someone who's read the manga, and I'm just kind of like, it's overall. I would say if I had to rate season 3, let's see, because season 1 I would say was great plus. Season 2 was amazing from start to finish. Season 3, I would say it's amazing. It could have been even greater with what Bones was able to do with the material and with how they were able to pace it out pretty well. I think, yeah, to me, it's an amazing season. Even though, again, the provisional arc, not exactly the best arc in the season, still was fun. And I'll give it that. What about you guys? What's your overall thoughts on season 3 as a whole?
I think it's
what was that?
a change for life. Or
You kind of started it, so you should go first.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. Let's see. I'm not sure if this season is better than season 2. I mean, I'm pretty sure people will be debating it. Heck, I've even debated whether or not it should have just been like hero training and the hero raid arc as like just that once. It's just like the entire season. But they decided to.
That would have easily been the best season then if you had just done those 2.
Yeah, it feels like it's in many ways you could have done like a perfect way of just doing it with that, and then I don't know. Then you could do like, but I suppose given the structure of the next 2 arcs, I suppose it's probably best to have like a full-on 25 episodes. Given how let's see, the hero license is enough, at least for mostly for one 13 episode season thing. But let's see, the internship arc is like a full-on 25 season episode thing. Wow. Let's see, and I'm not sure if like the hero license arc itself would be able to be passable as an entire season unto itself. So I suppose they had, in a sense, they had to structure it to the season with like Midoriya, with like the training and raid hideout thing, which it's still fun in itself because they had like Midoriya versus Bakugo as that's the main final event. Well, granted, they also teased with the first 2 bits of like the internship arc by introducing Miro with his power.
They lied to me. said it was supposed to be up until the provisional. Jerks.
But yes, they kind of lied a bit. But let's see. Well, granted, I suppose one thing this season has against it compared to last season 2's is that it has 2 more. It's not has 1 but 2 filler episodes. Well, last season only had like 1 filler episode. Let's see. And one of their fillers is a clip show. So yeah. Granted, that's not to say the clip show wasn't bad. I mean, they had some few funny scenes of like them all going to like, let's see, with Mineta and Denki, well, the lightning dude, trying to get Midoriya to come along with them to the swimming pool, trying to pass it off as training thing because they overheard the girls thinking about going there to swim. They're thinking bikinis. But let's see, if it's just those 2 alone, Ayazard probably wouldn't let them go along. But with Midoriya around, he wouldn't be suspicious. Unfortunately, this kind of backfires in a sense because Midoriya is so dense that he really thinks they're just here for training, that he invites everyone, which kind of like, it also makes Ida it has a funny moment of Ida thinking like, I'm glad you 2 are finally starting to take this training seriously, and kind of like tries to do the manly hug, and they're just like, no. But they go like, at least we still have like the girls in their bikinis, but then they get but then they're in like school swimming uniforms. So kind of disappointed, but Mineta is still, yes, this is still hot. And you're like thinking, Mineta, you scumbag, die already. Kind of thing. Well, maybe not die already yet, but I mean, it's not until like the next few arcs where you finally get sick of him. And then you have like, I suppose the filler episode tie-in to like the movie, I guess. I mean, at least it tries to tie in the movie. I guess so. I mean, I know that there's a few manga chapters that also tie into the movie, but I'm not going to say what they are for spoilers, but let's see, because I've at least seen one of them. But yeah, I suppose it's just about on par with season 2, though I think you could possibly argue season 2 is slightly better. But I don't know. It depends on what you feel of the content, which villains do you like better, and all that stuff.
All right. Here's a funny story. I actually paused the season 3, when All Might versus All for One happened, because it was the arc that I have been waiting for, which Lucky Chi has explained, even explained how the origin that we had to wait 2 years for this type of arc to be animated, and it was worth it, definitely worth it. Now the without going too deep on my experience as a manga reader, is sad that last year it did not intertwine perfectly between like, the anime and the manga, the best thing I could have this whole entire day. Yeah. It doesn't intertwine anymore because, well, the manga experience is a whole huge different story at the moment, but I won't go to there. Now, with that said, around that time, I was like dwindling, and I wasn't really that anticipated with the series, not as much, but I have to remain hopeful because of season 3 will have that hideout raid arc, which is something I still waited for. So that's the one thing that would carry on. Now, when that was animated and it was done with, I have pretty much lost all the motivation to continue on. Now, of course, I'm not going to leave it hanging. I got to finish it. That's how I work. So I did continue on. And I actually just recently finished on this very day, right before the podcast recording. So I know everything, how it was animated. I know what happened. I know what was covered, what was not covered, all that sorts. So I'm actually pretty much fresh from the anime. With all that said, honestly speaking, if I didn't read a manga, I would say this season could have been considered as one of the disappointment of this year. Because while the first half was engaging, because everything of what has been building up leads to this moment, led to that moment with the whole All Might, the whole Deku has to take in charge, has the next generation, everything about it. Then you got the second half. Not only it would have one episode that's pretty much a promotion for the movie, but there's a lot of things that I just already addressed about why that arc was actually the least favorite. It's single-handedly easily to say that's the least favorite. I already addressed all that, so I'm not going to repeat myself here. But you take that account, and then you look at the first half. It's like, again, the whole flow wasn't as compelling. It wasn't as engaging. It wasn't as exciting as season 2. Season 2 advantage was the whole pace went perfectly well in line because you came from the sports festival, which was very fun, and then you go to the Stain arc, which is very interesting, especially how all three character, even if you don't see Stain as a very threatening villain, you still have these characters that have their own motivation to fight against him, and that alone it sells the story right there. So you're already hooked by these characters, you're already hooked by the storytelling and the hook on the fight and then when you go to season 3, you carried off what happened from season 2 ending. So then you go that you dealt with that, and then you go to the second half. It's like it just dropped down a lot, and it's not because of the quality of like the animation or budget. Everything was still solid. It's still solid, especially with the whole Bakugo versus Deku. That still remains to be the better one of the second half, but it's not that easy to. It's not that hard to top it off, because second half was just pretty much an arc that's just there to get one part done, which seems like it should have been done fast as the last arc of season 2. So you compare to season 2 and season 3. Of course, the content materials is going to be different. Of course, it's going to be like, well, I prefer this one, but it's really different because how like the pacing, the interest, everything is started to fall apart with season 3 second half, mainly because there's no more hook anymore. Everything has everything felt like a reset. Like the characters, they don't really interact as much, or they don't really get it too much involved. And I don't want to jump ahead, but it feels like that's the continuing situation as well, is going to season 4. But I'll let you decide on your own when you get to that part. And then of course the whole character introduction of new cast, you start to see the pattern, and you start to see how it works, which is not a good thing in a sense, because when you see the pattern and you see how the format, you start to understand how the show works. And if you're one of those people that was disappointed with the 1 for all versus all for one, mainly because the fact not only that the choreography wasn't the best, but the idea of like you got a threatening villain and you take him out in the very same arc, you're going to start seeing that pattern more and more. And when you start seeing that and you're not in interest that, you're going to start disliking the series and not going to be like as what it was before, because how everything is started to seem formulatic, whatever how you say it. And it doesn't help. Again, I'm not trying to jump too much ahead, but the series itself starts to become just another shonen. And it sounds funny when I'm saying that, because of course a lot of people already address this as a shonen. But here's the thing. A lot of people sees this as a very unique series. It's never unique, but it does things a lot really good. But you're going to start seeing things that doesn't feel as unique, nor does it feel like it does things perfectly better than say Naruto, Bleach, or any other series. It starts to become just a normal standard level, which is disappointing. So in going back to season 3, the second half, it pretty much is the case. Like you see introduction of the character, their depth of their backstory is pretty much very basic. This guy going to try to be a fan of Endeavor, but then he's like pulling the Incredibles, flying home, buddy, I work alone. And the same thing with Shoto and Ina's back in the flashback, flying home, buddy, I work alone. Of course he didn't say that, but that's the idea. That that same line, or that line that traumatized a kid, will just, be effective for later on, which got settled in here. So everything gets settled every time in the arc. It's really becoming like something you already see the pattern. So there's no more hook to it. The only hook you got was the very end part. And again, I won't spoil, but since I know it, I'm not really looking forward too much of season 4. That's the honest truth. And even I'm seeing a lot of people like debating how everybody's going to react, anime fans only, because this is the one that a lot of people were turned off. I was turned off. There's Japanese audience that's turned off. I seen the reception is pretty dazzling. I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but I seen that. And you can't say like, what about like how's going on the popularity? But you got to remember, last year was the rising state. This year is the booming state. This year is where it booms, because you got a video game, you got a movie, a theatrical release. So of course they push it heavily. And this is the time to really stand out, to say like, my hero is here to stay. That's the time. It wasn't the time for the first season, that's for sure. Second season, it was the beginning. and this one is the time. I don't know how season 4 will fare. We'll see what happens. But thankfully, they are releasing every yearly, because if they take a break for a moment, they may lose a lot of people. And they're afraid of doing that. So thankfully, that's not going to happen, at least not at the time being. But season 3 itself, I thought the season was good, but it does fall apart mainly because a lot of different directions, or the pacing is not as engaging, and the things are becoming more of a norm, more so than like a very unique factor that a lot of people like to push you down the throat, saying that this is a unique series. And there is a defense of like, well, the storytelling in the fight is like is different from other series. Well, not really true. Especially if you come from the days of Naruto. Naruto does the flashback backstory in the battle. It's the generation speaking. I don't want to use the millennium, because the millennium, technically Naruto is part of it. But the idea that everybody acts like this way is because it's this generation's flavor of their taking. So that's the reason why you hear a lot of that right now. But is it really that unique? It's not. And I know it wasn't. I know it wasn't a unique series when I started reading since chapter 32 or 37. I was around there. It was very young. But what the series used to what the series used to do really well, starts to do it at a standard level, never do it at the highest peak. The highest peak is what you saw from All for One versus One for All, if not the Bakugo and Deku, especially with the whole Bakugo reasons why he's fighting. That one is different. That's cool. Knowing ahead, that won't be that much different. That doesn't make me say like, yeah, that series it deserve every credit of saying it's unique, even if it's not unique. But it's that feeling. It just doesn't get that me anymore. So with season 3, I guess you could say it's the upbringing of telling me like something about the series needs to fix on something. It's kind of like how Fairy Tail did it for me, not in the anime sense, but in manga. And that's a different story altogether. So for me, I'd say season 2 is definitely much better because of the pacing, the interest, and the connection. While season 3, the first half is really, if the first half was with part of season 2, that would have been easily the best. That would have been easily a phenomenal season to be hell. I mean, just imagine that. But yeah, so season 3, good, just not nowhere near good as season 2.
That's fair. But yeah, like general consensus is essentially that. And
I just want to kind of comment to that. Let's see. I've noticed that in this season, there are a few scenes from the manga that were cut from it. I'm not sure if you guys noticed that as well or not, but yeah.
I noticed.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure by when All for One's been taken to prison, there's a brief cameo of Stain. We don't see that in this.
We don't even see the report but like, hey, good news, she's alive. Bad news, her quirk is gone, and everybody's crying with her. We didn't even get to see that.
We don't get that.
No, and I think there's also, I'm trying to remember, there's at least one more scene. Oh yeah, the All Might announcing his retirement. So you don't see that as well.
I think it was just a newspaper, but yeah, we don't see that.
Newspaper.
I don't know. I remember there was like, he was at a conference and they didn't show that scene.
No, yeah, they didn't show that. No. Did they?
No, I don't think they showed that.
They didn't. The funny thing is, I don't think they report on the situation with the heroes, because all I know is the hero wise, they all alive. I think a lot of people probably under the impression that Genus is dead. I thought he was dead.
I thought so.
Somehow he survived. He survived. Blue Genus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, somehow he survived. I don't know. That seems like a takeaway from trying to be intimidating as hell. It's like, how you live?
I guess the manga was just not ready to kill off a character just yet.
I suppose. Then again, you got to be like, if I die, he would get character development. So if I do die and there's no connection with anybody, I guess I should not die. So let me just live from a attack that looks like it killed me. Right. That seems the logic.
So that brings us to our final topic of the podcast, which is going to be expectations for season 4, which is going to be a lot different compared to how I was at the end of season 2, because season 2 obviously was looking forward to this. That's gone now. So I'm not saying the next arc is bad. let me say that right now. In terms of the manga, it could have been one of the
Could have
best.
been a time when I bought all the volumes in one go. I
Yeah,
still remember that day. I said it myself.
too. I remember you said that
I
too.
said that. I was so hyped. And before you say, well, you let the hype kill you, so that's why you don't like that arc. No. Even if I let it go, I look back and I was like, wow, can't believe this happened. So it's not the hype. It's not just the hype. It's not even the hype. It's just a lot of things. But again, this is the anime podcast, so I'm not gonna even go there. The best I can say is this. When season 2 ended with that cliffhanger.
With All for One, yeah.
And because of and because of the entertainment value of the part of season 2 was so top notch. Going to that very end, I was like thinking, I cannot wait for season 3. Like removing the manga side of me. I'm like, I cannot wait for season 3. Season 2 was really a huge improvement for over one. The first one. This one was very fun, and now I don't know what to expect here, but I'm excited. So going from season 3 to season 4, my mind is, I wonder if they could fix the problem which has happened. That's not a good thing. I want to be excited, not wondering if they could fix the problem of what the second half has delivered or what the season has delivered.
Exactly.
You know the difference? I don't want to find a solution. I wanted to be thrilled by the content.
Yeah, it's kind of like the best example I can give, and this is just my personal opinion, but with Attack on Titan season 3, I remember a lot of people were like, "Oh, we're getting that arc." But for me, that was my favorite arc in the series, so I was like, I'm looking forward to that. And here's the thing: the biggest issue that the manga had was the pacing for that arc, and the anime fixed that, and it's incredible. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm preferring the anime arc, which rightfully should be so. The anime version of the Attack on Titan season 3 arc, the Uprising arc, over what the manga did, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And if season 4 for My Hero Academia can do something like that, which I know it kind of dampers the thrill aspect of what's going to come, then that's a problem. Because if you know that, yeah, there's some issues with the final arc, but with the internship arc. It's not a spoiler, that's just what the title is. If you know there's some issues there, like some major issues, and you're hoping that gets fixed, that's not a good sign. Let me just say that right now, that's not a good sign. Like I said, I think it just dampers expectations. So you can kind of clearly tell from my tone and Sparta's tone that we're not exactly too excited about season 4 from My Hero Academia, but we're still going to check it out regardless, because just how it goes. If season 4 manages to do something like that, where it's able to not skip things, but if it's able to do what AOT season 3 is able to do with the Uprising arc, it could definitely be something. And if they fix that one few issues that the manga had, could it be one of the best arcs? But again, my expectations of that are going to be severely low. So that's just how my thoughts are, just going into what I'm expecting for season 4. I expect most season 4 just go on.
I'm sorry. Without spoiling, all I know is that season 4, or the content that season 4 will have, I know there's like a lot of narrator. The narrator speaking,
stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if they leave it there and they have Mike voice actor to do it, you have no idea how much momentum would destroy. It would be funny. And suddenly she released her question.
Dude, that would make my day. Look, that is actually.
I'm like, how can I take this serious? All I'm hearing is I'm trying to take it serious when it was
How'd you feel if it does Midoriya's narration instead?
But that's the obvious thing, though.
That would be better, but if Mike does it, I would die. I would just die. I would be like, all right, season 4 is redeemed because it's hilarious and all the wrong intentions. Just because it's already funny enough for hearing his voice to tell us how the quirk works, which sometimes it does kind of harm the flow, especially with the Stain versus Ide.
I know, yeah.
I'm like, oh shit. And you got that blood, and it's like, now he tells the quirk. It's like, same quirk. like, oh yeah, that's right. My bad. Oh God,
That would be hilarious if that's what
Oh, I would. Yeah. Oh man, I hope. I kind of
I
hope.
would die laughing if that
I'm gonna be a devil advocate. I'm gonna be a devil to say that I hope Bones didn't hear me and just keep it the way it is and just let Mike do the narration. Because
we
God,
know
that would be
you might have
hilarious.
a few members of Studio Bones secretly watching your content for life, so who knows?
Please just leave it, Mike. Mike does a terrific and very dark, serious tone job of explaining every quirk and every narration. But yeah, it might be Deku. It might be Deku though. Though it's kind of weird. But, well, actually, no, I can't go further to spoilers. But still, I would love if Mike does the narration.
Right?
Oh God. Anyway, go Blue Star. What's your
Let's see.
thoughts?
Well,
What's
I
your
think
expectation?
season 4 could potentially be the best season of My Hero Academia.
I
We
you're
know that's a
trolling me,
joke.
'cause
We know that's a joke.
I know you're trolling me because you did that with you did that with you didn't really do that. You actually mean it with the whole recent chapters. I'm not even going there.
I said, hold on. I said it could potentially be. I'm not saying it will. Let's see. And then you went on a long. And you went on
You're
a
gonna
long.
be disappointed. Like when you get to the end, you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, Lucky Chi and
And then you
Sparda
went
right."
into a very long rant about how much of I'm thinking that this could potentially be the best arc in the saga. Let's see. Well, I nearly died of laughter. But anyway, as for what season,
where's your proof? God, I'm sorry. Let's cut the chatter.
I will say this: is there something to look forward to for season 4? It's one arc that a lot of and I'm assuming this one arc's going to be in there. It's going to be after.
It has to be.
It's going to be after the internship arc. That's the one I'm looking forward to. That's going to be my highlight for season 4.
I don't know. I feel like it's just going to be the full-on internship arc, but then again, I'm not sure because, well, I know Lucky Chi likes the little mini arc that follows after it. I just feel a bit weird with tones of pacing. I guess it could serve as a final 2 episodes mainly, but look,
that's super fast.
Possibly fit in is that maybe they also have 1 or 2 episodes from the cultural festival maybe in it, as like what they kind of did with season 3's ending by having 2 episodes of the internship arc. But I don't know. I do feel like it will cover most of like season. Yeah, it's going to cover like probably the entire season 4. Let's see. I'm not sure if they would. Let's see. I'm probably expecting 1 or 2 filler episodes because they tend to do that with My Hero Academia now these days, just to pace out an entire season.
There's going to be a recap episode. Let's be fair. There's going to be 1 recap episode. I'm expecting.
Let's see. Who knows? They might even do they might do 1 filler episode with like the other students' internships because some of them also had internships. Who knows? They might animate and pace it better. I'm not sure what Attack on Titan's first half of season 3 is about because I haven't fully watched it. But the episode I have watched felt a bit off to me. I mean, I seem to have like the completely different reaction to Lucky Chi with how they've paced the season. I don't know. But anyway,
pacing is perfectly fine.
And but then again, I haven't watched the full-on season yet for Life, so
that's true. That's true.
So I can't really
I must savage my series, My Hero Academia. So I have to bash the other one.
It's like
My Hero.
Immerse in the My Hero world.
I know. Anime could potentially do it better than what the manga did. I mean, there's always that possibility. I mean, sometimes that happens. I know Life and Lucky Chi remains skeptical, but who knows?
I'm very skeptical because it's kind of hard to change it to begin with. If you change it, it will be the Spider-Man from the original to the Spider-Man Homecoming change. That amount of change we need.
Yeah.
No. That was an unnecessary change. I'll get to that as soon as this podcast is done and over with.
But he's right,
sure.
Blue Star.
No. We'll talk about this after the podcast. Let's not do this in the podcast.
Go on, no.
Yeah, he's not a fan of Homecoming, guy. Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of Spider-Man fans that aren't a fan of Homecoming, but anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Don't worry, he got backups, just like probably with My Hero as well. If anything, I'm surprised I'm not bashed yet.
Right. So yeah,
Well, a lot of people did agree with me about the arc that was coming up next. So I was like, yeah, you got 5 thumbs up. But anyway, go on.
yeah, but expectations for season 4. Do you have anything you wanted to add, Blue Star, or is that it?
Let's see. I expect some very good voice acting. I expect the animation to be on par as it previously is. Let's see. I expect a few filler scenes, a few filler things, and I'm expecting like a very good opening. Who knows? Maybe for Full Life, that'll be the highlight for season 4. Possibly season 4 might have the best opening of the series.
Maybe.
Probably.
It could be one of the things to say the best part of the season is the ending. Not the ending of the song, but the ending. We're like, yay, finished. Whew, great part. I'm kidding.
You are so pressing for life. I do expect most people to enjoy the first half of season 4 more than the later half.
It's more. I think it's gonna enjoy the action rail. I'm not gonna say
That's
when.
what I think it's gonna be. Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
I know because the first half is gonna be slow pace, but it's gonna be a decent slow pace because that's where you build it up for something. Then when the thing starts, that's where a lot of people get excited.
Test of time.
Yeah, and then I still remember you guys bothered me about when dumb. I'm not gonna say the who exactly.
I didn't say like it was Blue Star that said it. I was like,
yeah, Blue Star. I'm like, Blue Star, shut up before you jinx it, and it would never happen. And even if he didn't say anything, it still didn't happen. I'm like, oh my god, Kishimoto.
If Bones, if Bones for whatever reason manages to fix that, I'll be like, good.
They gotta give him amazing backstory, amazing comeback. That makes Deku versus Bakugo look like very stick figure fighting. I don't know, something amazing. Something amazing. It will make Deku versus Bakugo look like guy versus guy. You know what I'm saying? It gotta be that incredible to redeem that arc.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
But yeah, anything to add on, Blue Star?
No, that's about it.
Okay. And if anyone's wondering what saga we're on, since we've been mentioning it, Rise of the Villain Saga. So as far as the manga goes, I'll say this:
get out of there, huh? Get out of there! I want to get out already.
Just like go back to beginnings.
If this is part 2, there's no wonder every part 2 would fall apart.
Oh man, still waiting on the Rise. Just saying that. It's not a spoiler. I'm just saying because it's called the Rise.
Dun, 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 dun.
Is there anything else you guys want to add on to the season podcast, or do you think we covered almost everything? Because I think we pretty much got everything down.
Homecoming was the best Spider-Man ever. I'm kidding.
Season 3 was fun. Whether or not season 4 can build up on the momentum, will it surpass the manga? Who knows? I don't know. Will these two stop being pessimistic about everything My Hero Academia? We will see.
How pessimistic? You're telling me season 3 is flawless? Season 3 had problems. Season 3 is suffering the Spider-Man.
I'm trying to mess with you two. I know. But I still think it's the Spider-Man 3 of the. No, it's not Spider-Man.
Oh my god.
I think you actually believe that. I'm pretty sure Lucky Chi would be ranting at you.
Okay, it's like this. It's like this. My Hero Academia season 1 is Spider-Man, I guess. My Hero Academia season 2, Spider-Man 2. My Hero Academia season 3. Whatever how you really think, Amazing Spider-Man 1. The season 4, likely to be either 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 2. Your pick.
That's a good comparison, actually. I agree with you on that.
I was gonna bring Homecoming, but I don't know how everybody feels, so I'm alone in this bubble.
You're not alone. I'm there with you. It's just one person that's Ottawa now, but we will get to that on another.
Maybe home. I would say maybe Homecoming is like for Attack on Titan season 3, but I think a lot of people really dig it, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, ever
Yeah.
since that one episode where Isayama inserted a new content, everybody's like, "Wow, all is forgiven." But anyway, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add? But yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said. I guess not.
No, that's all. That's all. That's all.
So that was a very engaging, fun podcast discussion that we had today with My Hero Academia Season 3. Looking forward-ish to Season 4, whenever it does come out, through 2019, regardless. And aside from that, guys, that is pretty much it. Sparta, Blue Star. It was great having you guys on board again for another My Hero Academia podcast, especially for Season 3, since that just recently ended.
It was fun. It was definitely fun.
Oh yeah.
And aside from that, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm Lucky7,
Sparda3g. Good to know.
the cursed child, and
We went throughout the entire podcast without you mentioning it at all, and now you bring it up for the end of the entire podcast.
it was planned from the beginning.